about the nuclear debate. I mean, it all comes down to reliability and price in the electricity market. We know that, the reliability of black coal in particular, but also brown coal, will be very tenuous in years to come, particularly in New South Wales. Should the government just allow this nuclear debate to happen, but more broadly, pull up the nuclear ban and test the market with it for ongoing baseload power?
I think we should have a conversation around the different sources of energy that are available. Doesn't mean that you have to commit to anything, but from my perspective, you can't. At the moment, I'm very focused on the needs of small business in my community out here. For instance, gas. I don't think gas should be banned because there's a need for gas. There are biomethane gas, for instance. I went to see one of the biomethane gases here. Why don't we look at some of those alternatives, right? Because that will bring down, hopefully, energy prices for people, or make it cheaper for them, at least, if they have that different sources of energy and not just rely on just one at this stage, because we don't have the technology, the infrastructure to really deal. I mean, with solar panels, for instance, I mean, I hear that the Prime Minister is going to call for encourage an uptake of rooftop solar. Now, well, first of all, how is it going to encourage the uptake of solar? Who's going to pay for that? Now, with those who've got solar panels at the moment, they're generating so much, energy. But from July, now my understanding from July here in New South Wales, people who've got generating the energy will have to opt in to pay. So they're not going to be paid, but they have to pay because they're generating energy, because there's no infrastructure at the moment, no capacity to collect all of that energy. So people are getting solar panels, but they are generating so much energy, it's not going back,
It's not going back into the grid. Yeah, that's right. There's also this question about solar panels. I mean, we saw that $1 billion announcement just last week that Anthony Albanese made in the Hunter Valley. That's all well and good. There's two things there. The Albanese government subsidising these potentially $1 million companies that stand to make millions of dollars. Where's the return for the taxpayer? If it is experimental now, I understand the need for a government investment and subsidy, but where does that money go when that company then thrives? There's no return for the taxpayer there. They just absorb it into their profits. The second thing,
and we're not going to manufacture them here, Laura. We're not going to manufacture. We actually assembling. We're assembling an assembly plant here.
Yeah, so and how could you possibly compete, Dai, when China is making almost all the solar panels that the world is consuming at the moment, and they are so cheap. They're almost cheaper on the market than they are to make.
Absolutely. So therefore, these kind of big announcements of into solar, it's all great. Solar panels is all great. We're going to manufacture it. It's all great. We're not manufacturing it at all. We're not building skills. We don't have the infrastructure to really manufacture here. And what's going to happen is we're going to have companies set up so that can import more panels here. And yet we don't deal with actually the circular economy, because where are the panels going to be recycled? Because in a few years' time, what's going to happen to those panels? So there's all of these.
It requires further examination, absolutely. Look, I'll ask two mayors about this a little later in the program as well. I just quickly wanted to get your view on the new Governor-General announced yesterday. You have a problem with it? Do you think it's a great appointment?
Look, you know what? I've read about it in the media and I've listened. I have had, met with Sam Austin in my previous life as a not-for-profit, founder of an organisation that drive the diversity and inclusive leadership conversations. I've met her, and she's a really lovely, person, and believes very much in terms of the whole diversity, inclusive, more of that in our mainstream institutions. Now, I believe that as a Governor General, whatever she did in the past, she has to remain neutral because she is the representative of the monarch. So she can't bring her ideology into her role. And her role is a head representative of the monarch. And my hope is that what she will do now into the future is to represent every Australian, not just a particular group or an ideology.
Sure she will.
That's my hope.
Yeah, we'll see. Dai Li, thanks so much.
Thanks, Laura.